So Godzilla is like Terminator. At first he was the bad guy, and then he became the good guy.
Yes, and not only that, he mutates every time we see him on the screen. Hi, I'm Vernon, and this is Kit, and we just watched Godzilla. Kit, what did we just watch?
We watched a really ridiculous and unworthy sequel to the 2014 movie.
Which was also entitled Godzilla.
Yeah, but this is Godzilla 2, King of the Monsters.
So let's get down to it.
Okay.
There's a time jump to 5 years after the 2014 film, and it brings back Ken Watanabe, Sally Hawkins.
Which nobody remembers anyway.
But Ken Watanabe, I think people remember.
Yeah,
Sally Hawkins, people might think looks familiar if they watched the first Godzilla films, and then they introduced a lot of new characters or retcon into telling you they were in the original film, but actually weren't.
It doesn't matter. The only one that matters is Ken Watanabe. The other guys are really forgettable and inconsequential.
Vera Farmiga is forgettable and inconsequential.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't put it that way.
No, I'm talking about the scientist.
Right.
No, oh.
She's a scientist.
Oh, yeah, but she's also one of the main protagonists.
Or antagonists. Protagonists and antagonists. Figure that out. After the disaster in whichever generic major US city in the first film, Vera Farmiga has a great idea of just waking up all the Godzillas and monsters and
the Muto.
The Muto. And what is it? Save Earth through purification?
It's nonsensical. I mean,
it's a current popular line taken by a lot of Green Party people. If we can't save the Earth, let's kill all the humans.
Because the humans are the infection of the Earth.
The cancer of the Earth. And then Earth will heal itself if humans are not in it. This film is actually clever enough to identify eco-extremists as the real villains of this story. They're headed on one hand by Vera Farmiga, who's one of the scientists, and Charles Dance, who, I don't know, has a paramilitary unit that helps her do it. Which monsters do you remember Vera Farmiga and Charles Dance and unleashing on the Earth? Because I can't remember all of them.
Well, the three main ones. There's Ghidorah, the three-headed dragon. There's Mothra, the giant moth, which is, I think, everybody's favorite.
And has its own theme song in the original.
And there's Rodan, the flying fire bat or whatever.
In addition to, of course, Godzilla. So basically there's just 4 monsters, right? That have names in this.
Yeah, they showed a few more, but there was like 5 seconds of screen time. There was this background. Oh, and they do mention Skull Island, so King Kong is going to be in a sequel. It's getting good ratings on IMDb. It's 7 point something stars compared to 5 point something stars for the 2014 version, which is
forgettable, very forgettable. It's the only thing I remember from 2014 was that Godzilla did an atomic breath and shot off the jaw and neck and head of the opposing monster.
But the 2014 one had an unusual take. The whole point of the movie was that humans were helpless in the face of Godzilla. No matter what they did, what they tried, it was inconsequential.
It was groundbreaking for US version of Godzilla movie. That's, I think, the entire point of the Japanese Godzilla movies, that humanity is just helpless in the face of such forces of nature.
The 2014 movie did take its time to slowly show, don't tell, how overpowered the humans were by Godzilla and the Muto. So they were like a fly buzzing around Godzilla. Godzilla barely even noticed them. Even though the main writer for the first movie also wrote the story for this movie, this 2019 version has a totally different feel. Really campy superhero movie. You even have almost something like a helicarrier. They've got this huge ridiculous aircraft.
Shield HQ helicarrier.
that actually carries the Osprey tilt-rotor helicopters.
Which are real thing.
And they've got this like huge glass cockpit in the aircraft. You also got like this huge glass observation deck in the underwater control room and in the first control room in China. It is like the deck of the Starship Enterprise. For a high threat environment like that, you would actually just have cameras on the outside, and your control room would be buried under tens of meters of rock. So,
Or quite possibly in a totally different location.
yeah.
I think the 2014 Godzilla actually played it straight. This one feels more like a campy homage to the Japanese Godzilla movies.
And they've got all the normal science fiction tropes, like they've got this super orca device.
Vera Farmiga uses this science fiction device to wake up all the monsters in the world at the same time.
But there's only one version of this machine. There's no backup. There are no plans. Nobody knows how it works. There are no technicians maintaining it. There are no other scientists or engineers working on it.
Except for her ex-husband.
I mean, there's just too much of this ridiculous stuff going on. And the bad guys seem to have flown from America to Antarctica on one Osprey, the tilt-rotor helicopter.
I don't know, Charles Dance was from Game of Thrones. What, you did not expect teleportation?
Yeah, but he was not in season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Or 7 for the matter.
So he was in the good seasons, the non-teleportation seasons of Game of Thrones. And most ridiculous of all, they used a nuclear bomb to rejuvenate Godzilla. Okay.
I thought that was ridiculous but entertaining, because it has a lot of callbacks to the original Godzilla movie from 1954, the black and white one, where the scientist, who has the same last name as Ken Watanabe's, basically takes out Godzilla in an act of self-sacrifice using a bomb.
Yeah, so...
And this scientist, in nice mirror image, revives Godzilla using a bomb, but also sacrifices himself at the same time. So I thought that there's a lot of nice nostalgia plays that this movie does, which I think contributes quite a lot to its camp value.
So Godzilla is like Terminator. At first he was the bad guy, and then he became the good guy.
Yes, and not only that, he mutates every time we see him on the screen. One of the best points about this film is that for an American Godzilla movie, it has a lot of call-outs that reference and respect the original Japanese films.
Yeah, but that should be like the icing on the cake, not the cake. I mean, if somebody who just watched either this movie for the first time or maybe just the 2014 movie...
yeah, it is a completely different beast. I wouldn't understand why this movie went in this direction if I only watch a 2014 movie and none of the Japanese movies. You're right.
Yeah, but even with that, that means that the callbacks are like a minor portion of the movie, right? They're not enough to like, sustain your interest in the movie.
What sold the film for me, aside from the call-outs to the original franchise, were the actual action scenes, the fight scenes between the monsters. There is a certain style that this film puts forth that looks completely different from the 1990s Roland Emmerich and the 2014 Godzilla film. Although they use CGI, they actually used motion capture. And not only that, they used a lot of compositing to achieve that kind of lo-fi haze and fog machine look, so that a lot of the action scenes between the monsters, the fight scenes between the monsters look kind of, as if they were back projected.
I thought the
and it looked blurry, it looked smoky, but it looked kind of old school cinematic.
it looks like too direct. The 2014 movie, they had a certain style. Like you didn't see Godzilla directly most of the time.
Which I think made people pissed off about it.
Yeah, but
I was.
I liked it. I mean,
Yeah, show don't tell, right? You don't see Godzilla, but you see the damage Godzilla causes.
you see him maybe in the distance on a TV screen. You see glimpses of him underwater.
Yeah, but for this film, when you see him, he kind of looks like an actor in the rubber suit in a slightly higher quality budget. But it's actually all CGI. It's just that the CGI is purposely made to look as if it's really, really, really old school.
No, I
Haze and fog machine, guy in rubber suit kind of quality to it. At least in the, not in close-ups, but in the distance and mid shots.
It looks realistic. I mean, that's what you can do with CGI these days. But without being emotionally invested in the story, I just wasn't interested. No, there was no like build up. Like the first movie had this fantastic line by Ken Watanabe. At the end, he says, "Let them fight."
He says it again in this movie near the end as well.
He does.
Either him or Zijan, I think.
But that had some meaning to the story, and it was also like presented very dramatically. There was no equivalent in this 2019 version.
Yeah, I think even in the Roland Emmerich version, the focus was actually on the people in city, some of whom happened to be on the team.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's always about the humans.
But for this one, basically the only humans that we're introduced to are the scientists on the team. So they lost a bit of the common touch.
The common touch was supposed to have been provided by Vera Farmiga and her family, the daughter and the husband.
Who are supposedly survivors of the 2014 attack.
But it just didn't work for me. It wasn't believable, and it wasn't emotionally compelling. It just seemed very fake, very forced. It's like, oh, you should care about these people. Yeah.
You should care about these people because they are emotionally damaged survivors of the original monster attacks. And they're going through a bitter divorce, and yeah. And so therefore the audience is kind of arm twisted into feeling for the protagonists, and that doesn't work for him. It didn't work for me either, but the monster fights did it for me. Anyway, I watched this again. I've watched this more times than I would the 2014 version. I'd watched this slightly more times than maybe the Roland Emmerich.
Oh no, the Roland Emmerich one is the best Godzilla I've ever seen. I know this is a minority opinion, but
the Emmerich one, I think, grew on me over the years.
The thing is, I'm a huge Roland Emmerich fan, so the 1998 version was really like one of his best because he's very good at pacing. There's never a boring moment. It's all run, chase, chase.
We're ending on a very split conclusion here. I kind of liked it for the same reasons that Kit hates it, i.e. it's very campy. It has a very lo-fi, nostalgic bend to it. Its writing and its action scenes. And Kit opposes it for exactly the same reasons, so who knows? Tell us what you think or not. But until then, we'll see you next week or the week to come.
Bye.